Mark, David, Eric, and Jason's going to be coming in a few minutes. All right. And we have somebody as attendee. So Irene, could you please go ahead and read the usual, please? So we can get started. I'm going to call the meeting to order.
Of course. So just a reminder to everyone that this meeting is being conducted pursuant to the provisions of the Governor's Executive Order N-2920, which suspended certain requirements of the Brown Act. For those attendees join us on Zoom, when you have a comment to be made, just simply click on the raise hand icon, or if you're dialing by telephone, you can dial, or excuse me, if you're in by telephone, you can go ahead and just enter #9. Okay, and then you will have 3 minutes to make comments. If you prefer to email them, you can email them directly to me at iwerby@ci.cloverdale.ca.us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And we'll go ahead, and what we are going to do is we're going to open to see if there's any public comment about any item that is not on the agenda. Any public comments?
Currently, no hands are raised. Oh, here we go. Yes, so we have Mr. Ray Shipway.
Okay, and Mr. Ray, make sure that you are going to comment on an item that is not on the agenda. If it's an item that's on the agenda, we will have public comment after discussion. Thank you. Go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Very good. I'd like to thank the Public Works Department for the levee work that was completed at the airport. I'm Ray Shipway from Cloverdale Pilots Association. I appreciate that, especially with the rain coming in this week. Hopefully we'll have a good result from that levee being placed in there. We won't have the flood situation we had before. I appreciate the help that we've gotten from the Public Works Department. So thank you. That was my comment.
Thank you very much. And I guess it's going to be put to be tested this weekend, huh? I hope that nothing happens. Very well. So we have some communications regarding airport noise. And what I would like to know is if there has been any kind of follow-up from the airport manager. I see that he did send a response. Do you know, David or City Engineer Rincon, if there has been any response from the person?
Madam Chair, Vice Mayor, the 2 letters of correspondence that we've received are largely in regards to noise complaints and overflight issues at the airport. I ask our airport manager to follow up directly with the folks that filed those complaints. I don't have a direct response in terms of his follow-up, but I do know he's been actively working to address some of the overflight issues with the residents located on the east side of the Russian River, and through outreach with the pilots. And obviously it's kind of similar to traffic control. It's ongoing, and it requires constant management, because you can address it with one airport user, but then another one might come up and utilize the same practices. We're also we had developed some language to put on our airport website, that it was to help guide pilots on their overflight and try to reduce the noise impacts just through management strategies. But otherwise, the city has very little regulatory control over airplanes in the air and the noise that they generate. The other issue is lead pollution, but the nature of the fuel is what it is. It has lead in it, and again, it's outside our regulatory purview to regulate fuel, and lead is critical to the operation of the aircraft. So it's as planes introduce or as new technology is introduced and there's alternative fuels available, that certainly will reduce it. But until such time, it continues to be the source of fuel for the particular plane types that is necessary for their proper operation.
Okay, thank you, David. I do want to make a comment regarding one of the persons in communications, Kathleen Barrett. I confirm with her that she does reside in Healdsburg. I do not understand, the communication. And I did ask her if she has property at Palomino. But as far as I'm concerned, she resides by what is it called? Fitz Mountain?
Fitch Mountain.
Fitch Mountain. So I just wanted to make that comment, and I want to make sure that that is in the notes. And if it so happens that she also has property at Palomino, I think that we need to make sure that that is noted, or if she's there on part-time basis. I mean, so anyway, that was my comment in that regard. Are there any public comments regarding this item, Irene?
No hands are raised at this time, Chair.
Okay, and I just got a notice from Kathleen Barrett that I know, and she said, nope, I did not write a letter about airport noise. So I will go ahead and send this to her to make sure she knows her name is being used for this particular item. Okay. So no comments. We'll go ahead, and I have a question regarding Ms. Elias' comment regarding the culvert. She had mentioned that the city, she had suggested for the city to look into FEMA grants to elevate the culvert. And I was wondering if there's any feedback about this.
Madam Chair, Vice Mayor, I'm happy to respond, and then maybe our city engineer can weigh in on an update regarding our local hazard mitigation plan. But there's currently the city is engaged in a planning effort to prepare a new updated local hazard mitigation plan, and that local hazard mitigation plan is to comprehensively address all hazards affecting the city, including potential for flooding. And once that document is approved, and assuming it's approved by council, it will ensure that the city is in compliance with applicable FEMA and California Office of Emergency Services regulations for funding projects under the hazard mitigation program. As we know, the council previously supported a grant application, but it was denied because we didn't have an up-to-date local hazard mitigation plan. So that completion and acceptance of our local hazard mitigation plan is a critical step that would avail ourselves to funding that could provide a portion of the cost of the culvert or the crossing that Ms. Elias is referencing. But until that time until we complete that process, we won't be able to. Well, we can certainly apply, but it's very unlikely that we'd be successful without completing that planning process first. So I would defer to city engineer or city or engineering, senior engineering technician Jansen if they wanted to offer, you know, any additional elaboration on the local hazard mitigation plan.
Before they respond, I would like to know if there are any timelines that we need to keep in mind regarding this particular mitigation plan.
Yeah, I'll defer to our team here on the timing for that process.
Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead, Eric.
We've been in communication with FEMA and with the California Office of Emergency Services, or Cal OES. They're the ones who administer the grant that we are creating our hazard mitigation plan under. Our original contract closure date and target for completing the hazard mitigation plan was April of this year. It's going to take us a little while longer, so we are submitting an extension request to them that'll take us probably through the summer. And that is the plan, is that we'll have this plan in place roughly by the end of the summer of this year. The plan then opens the possibility of accessing funding from FEMA to mitigate potential hazards. I do want to remind the chair that this is not a blank check. It requires a 25% match from the city. The maximum we can obtain from FEMA is $3 million, which would require a $1 million contribution from the city for a total project budget of $4 million. So it does not pay for particularly large projects.
And then again, it needs to be on the priority list, something that is definitely impacting and it's necessary, I assume.
That is correct. And I mean, that priority list is part of this hazard mitigation plan. So most importantly, if we're getting input from the public as a function of our own outreach, suggesting areas that maybe need to be addressed that we have not already started to address, we can incorporate these potential projects into the plan and at least make them eligible for funding. It just does not guarantee that we can get funding or that we can get enough funding to bring the projects forward. Mitigating flood is expensive and difficult, and to a certain degree, sometimes impossible.
Thank you. May I ask how the outreach to the public is being conducted to make sure that all concerns are being at least recorded?
Just go ahead.
We are working with both stakeholders as well as our fellow cities and regulatory agencies. We've set up a separate subcommittee that meets pretty much quarterly to discuss these issues. We have set up our consultant has set up a website so that folks can actually go online and take a look and see what we're doing and offer suggestions. We had also recently committed a survey that was sent out to the public and invited the public to participate and tell us what are the hazards that they are worried about, and to give the public an opportunity to tell us what things we should be addressing as we move forward with this plan. That data has been compiled, but I have not memorized it, so I can't report it here. But we can certainly address this at the next subcommittee meeting with a detailed list if council would like.
Also, Eric, the consultant has programmed into their schedule a public hearing and also a council presentation. So that has yet to be scheduled for specific meetings, but it will be programmed into probably the springtime when we've had a chance to better, write out what specific projects we have in mind and then start presenting those.
Yes, that's very important that we announce in a timely fashion. And since you have to finish this mitigation plan by summer 2021, it would help for us to really engage in a true effort to explain what it's all about to the public, and also to announce it so that people can participate and also attend the presentation. So please let us know as soon as you're informed. Thank you very much. Anything else regarding this, David, before I open to the public?
Nothing further, Vice Mayor.
Okay, Irene, do we have any open for public comments? Do we have any hands?
No hands are raised, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much, Eric and Mark. All right, then I need to ask Eric an update on safe routes to school.
So work
Oh.
has been,
Let's see.
yes.
Are we still on the minutes? Just because didn't
Oh,
get
we haven't
approval.
done the minutes. We haven't done the minutes. I'm just doing the updates. Okay, let's go ahead and do the minutes. Yes, sorry. I just wanted to, I guess I'm hungry. I made a very good soup. All right. So Kevin and David and Mark and Eric, we need approval of minutes.
Yeah, no changes on my behalf, so.
I'll second City Engineer's motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, Irene?
Okay, so let's see.
It's just
Senior
voice.
engineering technician Jansen.
I didn't realize I even had a vote.
We'll
I
count your
vote to
vote.
approve the minutes. I
How about
believe
just a
that
voice
belongs to
vote?
elected officials, not us rank and file hourly folks.
But there's only one elected official.
Right.
No,
Unanimous. You nailed it.
Irene, usually we just do a voice. No roll call necessary.
Okay, then it's they're approved as presented.
Thank you.
And I assume everybody read them. I did. Okay, and that's why I guess I have all these updates and I'm anxious to learn about it. So now that that's out of the way, Eric, I have my dog here gagging. I don't know why. Oh, I know. He's been playing with a toy that's broken. All right, safe route to school. Eric, please.
Okay, work has been completed. So we have the sidewalks we wanted to build constructed. The city and the finance department specifically are working with Caltrans to provide invoices to Caltrans. Caltrans will then reimburse the city up to about $100,000 for the cost of the project. All of invoices will be rolled into a single final invoice. This was done at the advice of Caltrans. They will not do progress invoices once work is complete. So that is what we are doing. We are putting together the documents for the final invoice. It is a fairly complex document with lots and lots and lots of forms. So finance and engineering are working together to complete all these forms. We'll roll it all up together and we will submit to Caltrans. Due to the complexity of it, Caltrans will take some time to review it. They may have requests for changes or revisions, in which case they will let us know. And we will probably go through this a few times before the city is in receipt of the check for the full $100,000 in funding.
Okay, thank you very much. Any public comments?
No hands are raised, Chair.
Thank you. Okay, now we're going to go to Public Health Vision Zero. David?
Mayor, or Vice Mayor, and Chair, I'm happy to provide an update. And for members of the community that might be listening in and wondering what Vision Zero is, it's a countywide initiative that's being led up by the Department of Health, Health Services, and in partnership with the Sonoma County Transportation Authority. The goal of which is to reduce traffic-related deaths to zero in Sonoma County. and the project's really built on three principles, which includes development of systems that are drive data informed decisions. So understanding where, for instance, where accidents are occurring, and addressing what are the improvements that might reduce or eliminate potential fatalities or accidents. Also coordinating a process with municipalities, including Cloverdale, and that's why we track this. And then a community engagement process with the greater community. The process has been underway for some time, and it continues. Right now, the Sonoma County Transportation Authority is seeking input from the community. They have a Vision Zero survey on their website, and just want to encourage members that may be listening in of our community to take the brief survey, and it'll provide important data and background information that will support the planning process for this effort. And again, the overall goal is reduce fatalities from traffic incidences, and obviously most of our cities have been affected at one time or another because of traffic fatalities.
Yeah, and that brings the South Cloverdale Hillsburg Avenue accessibility improvements that Kevin will talk about. And I would like to mention that I did receive a phone call from some neighbors at 100 Hillsburg who mentioned that there was an accident at that particular intersection recently. And they reminded me to keep in mind that we have had 2 fatalities in that area. So, there's nothing we can do when it comes to people on the phone. And many of the accidents lately are happening because of that, or people being distracted. But I did mention to this particular constituent that these improvements have come about precisely because of the kinds of accidents that we've had there, and that there is an ongoing observation of the situation. And I'm very sorry that that happened, but there are certain things we cannot control. So with that comment, moving on to Kevin. Are you there, Kevin?
Sorry. Yes, I'm here.
Okay. So could you give an update on South Cloverdale Hillsburg Avenue accessibility improvements?
Sure. It was a CDBG funded project. So we did get money through the county CDC. The money has been around for a number of years. So we're glad that it's finally completed. All the final remaining punch list items have been completed by the contractor, and we'll be taking the improvements to the council for approval.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, what's your impression of the project? You think it's an improvement, I hope, and I think it looks good. And I know we had a lot of trouble with those in-street lights that seem to fizzle out every time it rained and shorted out. So we're happy to get rid of those. They're kind of a maintenance nightmare. So
well, let's see what happens this week.
Yeah.
We're going to have a lot of water to test many things.
Yeah, I'm glad the project's done, and I think it's a nice improvement for the area.
It looks, if you can't see the improvements, you must be blind. You shouldn't be driving.
Just to add my comments, I'm recused from this project, but in general, data will drive additional needs at that intersection if necessary. And given that the possibility of identifying another use, more housing for that intersection may warrant a signal, but the last time we studied it, it did not warrant a signal. So what's there was warranted as it is. But again, we'll have to revisit that issue when a developer takes over possession of that last slot and comes up with a plan.
Thank you.
And Madam Chair, Vice Mayor, if I can, just to add that the improvement at South Cloverdale Boulevard and the intersection of Hillsburg Avenue is, one improvement in the long corridor of that comprises Cloverdale Boulevard and runs, the entirety of our city of Cloverdale from north to south. And what it speaks to is the value of a complete streets approach to improvements along that entire section and the entire stretch of Cloverdale Boulevard. Most recently, we obviously completed, as engineering technician reported, senior engineering technician Jansen, on the Safe Routes to School project. And this project kind of fall in that complete streets perspective for planning, where you're trying to reduce the impact of the automobile and provide for enhanced or improved pedestrian movements as well as bicycle movements along the active street corridor. And in this particular project, there were bulb outs put in to kind of restrict the traffic flow at that intersection, with the goal of providing a signal, if you will, without actually a light necessarily to motorists to slow down and to provide appropriate to reduce the travel width of the boulevard for pedestrians who are crossing. And in theory, that should provide for safer options by one, slowing down that traffic and reducing the travel length for pedestrians, and then improving the facilities, the physical facilities for bicycle movements through that intersection. So you really see that in that improvement. But those are points in time, or places in time, or maybe it's not in time. It's one physical location in a long stretch of the boulevard, and hopefully it's a start to a number of projects that over time that can be completed for the entire stretch, so that you're not seeing fits and starts of projects. You're seeing a complete street section with all of the pedestrian amenities, bulb outs, lighting, signage, bicycle lanes, etc. So if we have the opportunity to develop a complete streets model for that whole section, for the whole entire stretch of the boulevard, it'd be really great, because then that would give us a tool to implement these projects over as time permits.
And I need to make a comment here, and perhaps this is something that needs to be consulted with the chief, the police chief. I have noticed that that many of the people who are guests at the hotel, big trucks park where the improvements for bicycle flow is supposed to happen, impeding appropriate and safe bicycle movement. So what is the recourse that the city has, spending all this money in improvement for bicycle and pedestrian safety, and then we have these big trucks parked precisely on top of bicycle lanes?
Yeah, I think the answer to that question is more enforcement. And we have to ensure that there's the appropriate tools to allow for our police department to enforce the California Vehicle Code. But that's a good prompt, Vice Mayor, and I would encourage our engineering staff and our team to speak with the police and identify where enforcement can be enhanced to reduce those conflicts.
Because there are no signs, and there's no yellow lines or green lines or red lines. So I mean, we need to know how this is all going to work out. I mean, yes, we want to encourage the use of the hotel, etc. And many of the clients are people who drive the big trucks and so on. But at the same time, our main priority is the safety of our citizens.
Absolutely, Vice Mayor, and what it may be a combination of enforcement and other either improvements or modifications to striping signage. So that's something we may want to take up as a future agenda item, is an assessment of this section of the boulevard, to address that, conflicts with the larger vehicles. Unfortunately, that's the nature of parts of this boulevard, is it's used by large trucks, and trying to address parking for those vehicles is a challenge. We see it elsewhere on the boulevard, and it's something that we have to do a comprehensive approach to, through again, signage, striping, physical improvements, and enforcement.
So please, Irene, I know that future agenda items is later, but perhaps make a note, because we definitely need to have Public Works, City Engineer, and Police Department talk about this. I mean, a lot of money was spent. A lot of faith has been put forth in terms of safety, and it's not happening when we have those situations. Okay. Any public comments regarding this? I think it would be appropriate to go ahead and move on to the treadway signalization project, because it relates to the whole issue you were discussing, David, in terms of the whole boulevard. So may we go there and skip over the Port and Lou of the plaza?
It's certainly your choice, Madam Chair or Vice Mayor. These are just standing items, so we can report or not report on any items you see fit. And if we want to jump to treadway, I would defer to our city engineer on for an update.
Please.
Yeah. So, Madam Chair, you saw the construction is continuing. They're starting to put some of the final finishes on it. They still have a lot of striping to do. The weather is going to slow the project down a little bit. One factor that slowed the project down in general is that PG&E needs to run power to our sites. The contractor will run the conduits to the power pole, and then PG&E needs to do the drop line from the power pole. So there was that back and forth with PG&E, and we're still waiting for PG&E to renew their contract, because apparently the city needs to sign a contract that will allow PG&E to go ahead and get this project done. That's probably the longest lead item that's standing before us right now, and PG&E has a unique way of constantly sending us the same contract over and over again without updating it. So the contract had some flaws in it, and we've asked them to get corrected. They'll be corrected. But in the meantime, the contractor's doing all they can, minus powering the system, and that won't happen until PG&E has the power available.
Well, hopefully it will not be like the runabout in Hillsburg. Okay.
No.
So any public comments regarding the treadway signalization project? Irene? None?
From Mr. Bob Cox.
Yes. Welcome, Bob. Please go ahead.
All right. My issue is that there has been a lot of comment about this intersection on social media, and a whole lot of people are suggesting that this or that's going to happen and blah, blah, blah. It would be nice if there was some explanation of how this intersection is going to work, and put to rest a lot of the misinformation that's getting put out there and just getting people upset. Actually, this intersection is going to be a big help, but they're looking at it as being a big problem.
Just the opposite, right, Bob?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's
Social
a
media
complicated.
can put everything just in terrible shape. So.
Yeah, no, indeed, and I've not kept up on it. I try to avoid the social media for a reason, but I'll try to put something together. The operations is a little complex there. That I'll give you that, because it is a offset intersection, so it just complicates things. But there is a sequence of how the traffic will be handled and how it's queued up. Without getting too technical, it could be demonstrated, I guess.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Well, David and Mark, perhaps there could be a short presentation to council about that down the road, and we'll make sure that people are invited to see the presentation, and if they don't, then they just have to.
We can also post it up. Though I think the easiest way to demonstrate the use of that intersection is through some sort of graphic, and I'll work with our consultants to see how they can demonstrate the queuing and the turning and all the, all the activity from an aerial kind of, box car look, and just see if they can, have something, put something together. They have to have the tool to do so. Otherwise, it's going to be a very wordy document.
Oh no, definitely images,
Yeah,
because
we'll
people
see if
don't
that's
read.
exactly.
general.
And it's not in their scope of services, so I got to see what they can do for us, within
Yes.
my limits.
That was my next comment. Make sure it doesn't add too much more to the cost.
Of course not. And since Kevin is our chief officer for communications, he can help me out.
Okay. So I'm sure that you guys can come up with some, maybe TikTok.
Oh yeah,
demonstration.
no, thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. And let's go to,
Is there any further comments? I don't believe there's any further comments. Is there, Irene? No, okay.
this is pretty much a straight answer on demonstrating how it's going to work, and perhaps to explain that there are parts of the project that need approval by the city, by the council, and that we need PG&E light, green light for it in many ways too. Now, let's move on to the Portland Loo on the plaza. I believe this is going to be something that will be on hold during COVID. Is that the right impression that I may have? Who would report on this? David?
Madam Chair, I'm happy to provide an update. It is a project that is identified in the current budget, funded through Quimby fees or park fees. It's just a matter of timing and workload. If we it starts with developing the plans, bring in the necessary improvements to support the Portland Loo. As you know, Madam Chair, the Portland Loo is kind of the fixture that you purchase. It's complete, and it's really about bringing utilities to the location where you're going to place it. So it's just a matter of timing for our city engineers and public works department on completing the bid specs to make the necessary improvements. Ideally, it could be a project that could be undertaken during COVID, and might actually have reduced some of the impacts, because no entities are using or renting the plaza during this time frame. So it would be kind of an ideal time frame to get the work done, but it's just a matter of workload planning and timing when we bring it forward.
Okay. Do you still have the temporary toilets at the park and at the plaza?
The temporary units are located on Broad Street, and that's a city incurred expense for that, and that's because the public restroom at City Hall closed to the public. The restroom that was available at the park was a county funded effort.
I'm losing you, David.
The loo that was available at the
River Park is the county, yes?
was funded by the county, and my last recollection is that it's been removed, was removed by the county, but have a more current update on that one.
Okay. Okay. Do you know why it was removed by any chance from the River Park?
I think it was due to funding. The county funded it with CARES Act funding provided through the state, and they provided that service to a number of county-wide areas, and I think it just ended up being quite expensive. So they were trying to reduce some of the costs of continuing to provide that service. That's my understanding. But Kevin,
And
again,
it's kind of critical for us at the river, given that we have a homeless population. Were we informed that that was going to be removed?
we were advised that the county's plan was to remove it.
We need to advocate to get it back. That's
We can
something.
I have the email for the gal. I can't remember her name, but I can ask if it's a possibility.
Yeah,
I'm
please
not sure. I'm not
send
sure it was
it to
being
me, and I
used.
need to talk to the supervisor about that. I mean,
Yeah.
this is one of the ways of coping with COVID and our homeless situation. And it might be different in other county parks, but in that particular area, we need that. So we need to follow up on that.
Well, let me try with just the staff person and see what they say before maybe we can get something done without having to elevate it.
Okay. All right. In a timely fashion, please. Okay. Any public comments on this item?
No hands are raised, Chair.
Thank you. Then the Potter Valley, we're going to be talking about that in council tomorrow. So I don't see any need to discuss it at this moment. Do you, David?
It's your call, Madam Chair, Vice Mayor, but there will be a presentation by Sonoma Water in regards to their temporary urgency change petition, which will give us a pretty good overview on the operation of the reservoir and the Potter Valley project. So
yes, it's quite a technical one too, but I mean, I welcome it, and I hope that the people here are interested in learning the impact that it will have on us one way or the other. I'm just concerned about how much it will cost us, but I think it will be well spent money. We'll see tomorrow. And then last but not least, any public comments on Potter Valley project? Questions?
No hands are raised at this time, Chair.
Okay, thank you. And then 4th Street, and who would that be?
That can be me, Madam Chair.
Okay, go ahead, please.
So we are moving forward with repaving of 4th Street this summer. We have engaged Coastland Engineering to assist us with the project. We had our kickoff meeting yesterday, and today. And so they will be proceeding with preparing a plan for us. We're going to keep the job fairly simple, primarily removal and replacement of the alligatored asphalt with a few minor repairs to the sidewalks. But otherwise, we're going to leave most of the concrete work as it is and simply get the road back in shape again. We also have on the SB1 list put the Healdsburg and South Cloverdale Boulevard project to allow SB1 funds to be used to fund portions of that project as well. And those two projects conclude the list that we have on file. And we are now approaching the time of year where council will begin to nominate new projects to place on the list and make eligible for SB1 funding. And I wanted to invite you, and I was hoping our other member would be present, to start thinking about the sorts of projects that you think might be important. Engineering department has access to an online tool that can help us select the most cost-effective project, but this is not necessarily the best project for Cloverdale. So council input, public input as to what the next street is that we pave or reconstruct, or simply slurry seal and extend the life. That is helpful information, so we can get that nominated for this year's list and make available for funding in future years.
Let's go drive.
And And just to follow up on the funding too, we are borrowing possibly up to 3 years out on the SB1 funding for 4th Street. So the next possible project we would be looking at maybe 2025, 26 range. So just to kind of keep your constituents' expectations in order.
Thank you. That's very important. People don't understand. Well, we
Yeah,
don't understand how
it
much it
accumulates.
costs.
Right, no, these are costly projects and it accumulates not fast enough for the need. Eric, what was the estimate we're accumulating?
So SB1 provides to the city approximately $130,000 to $150,000 a year. This is part of the new gas tax funds. And while it is not enough to solve all of Cloverdale's problems, it's about 3 times what we used to get. So it at least makes it possible for us to reconstruct some of our streets instead of just putting down a little slurry seal and hoping for the best.
Thank you. You know, for future agenda items, I would like to see an update on the First Street Bridge and the conversations with the county city engineer Rincon.
By all means, Elena, if you would mind putting that on your notes and we could go ahead and talk about that.
Yes.
Sorry for being late, guys. I am here.
Okay, just in time to close the meeting.
Yes.
All part of my plan.
Okay, so we have 2 future agenda items. Could you read those to Mayor Turner, Irene, to see if he wants to suggest any other future agenda items?
And if staff wishes to add further, the 2 future agenda items that I have is to discuss improvements. I'll get better wording for the next meeting, and signage related to enforcement around improving bicycle movement and parking of the larger semi trucks on Hillsburg Avenue. And then one that was just mentioned for getting an update on the 3rd Street Bridge.
And conversations in conversations with the county, because that's a county project.
And Irene, just for clarification, it's First Street / Crocker Bridge.
First Street. I think it's been changed a few times.
Yeah, it kind of, I don't know where the nomenclature comes from, but it seems like the.
Well, I did find out people in the county call it the Crocker Bridge because that's how it's a Crocker crossing. And people in Cloverdale refer to it as First Street Bridge because it's the end of the First Street. So go figure. It's, you know, since it's a city project, we refer to it First Street. When it's a county project, they refer to it as Crocker.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you very much. And also follow up on the portable toilet at River Park. And Kevin is gonna check with the staff person at the county. So we have those 3 items. Jason, do you have anything else that you would want to add for future agenda items?
Nope, nothing pressing at this time that's been brought to my attention, though should things come up, I'll make sure to forward them for review.
So you were the item of good of the order, Jason. Thank you. And if there are no further comments, the meeting will be adjourned, and it will be chaired by Councilmember Walter. And is it going to be Todd or Jason, David?
It's me currently for the meeting tomorrow. Part of our discussion will be it will not be able to continue at 4 o'clock if I'm going to be on it. So that'll be part of our council discussion tomorrow.
Okay.
And then, Chair, I do have one hand raised from Mr. Shipley.
Okay, please. Go ahead.
Ray, You should be able to unmute yourself and make your comment.
Sorry, I'm getting caught up on Zoom. Hey,
Aren't we all?
during when the airport subcommittee meeting was meeting on its own, we had a 5-year plan of improvements to the airport. And I'm just wondering if we're going along with that same 5-year plan.
Madam Chair, the answer to Mr. Shipway's question is affirmative, and maybe we can put what's referred to as the ACIP, or Airport Capital Improvement Program, on the agenda as a future agenda item, and it's basically a continuation of projects that had previously been identified. But we can our city engineer and our senior engineering technician can provide an update on those projects.
Okay.
Thank you, David. And also, you know, the possibility of slurry seal on the tarmac. We had talked about moving agenda items around so that we could get the tarmac around the city hangars rebuilt. It's all gravel now and unusable. And then for the good of the order, I wanted to let you know that Quality Sport Planes is anticipating the possibility of having his open house at the airport in May. And in the past, the city had pigtailed onto that and done an open house for the entire airport. At Shipway Aviation, we'll be open for that same day. Try to open house for the public.
Well, I guess we'll have to see where COVID stands.
Exactly.
But thank you very much for the information. And you know, anything else, Ray?
At this point, no. We got about, well, 15 to 20% of our runway lights are out. And I know Michael knows about that. So I guess we'll continue to work on that project.
Yeah, I know Michael routinely orders replacement bulbs for those. So I'm sure if he hasn't ordered them, I'll check with him and make sure he's got them on order.
Michael, we've got quite a few of the stands are gone, not just burnt out bulbs. But,
oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh. Last time I was out there, they seem to be pretty much in place, but it looks like they've been getting knocked over then.
Yeah, they've been knocked over, and we've enjoying the new levee down there, went down to actually visit with it, and we were actually able to see the stands knocked over. So
okay, well, I will report that to my staff as well, because they're the ones that are going to go out there and fix it. Thank you, Ray.
You're welcome. That's all I had. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you for your participation. And, you know, I have one more question, Mark, and it has to do with the building at the courtyard.
Oh, okay. We're going to be meeting on that specific item. We've got Mo Engineering doing some of the preliminary work, surveying and geotech work, and helping us with the putting together our building requirements. The cost came in about 3 times what we had anticipated. So we'll be meeting tomorrow to see where we can control the cost and get it back within budget. So that's where it stands right now. It's on hold until we get a better handle on the budget. Otherwise, we need to rethink this project.
Thank you very much. Definitely within budget. Waiting and counting for our bucks. Very well. No other comments? All right.
No hands are raised, yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much. You guys have a good evening. Stay dry. And I guess we'll have a wet distribution of food this weekend. And I adjourn the meeting.
Awesome. Thanks, you guys.
Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everyone.